welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios. We talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Y'all, okay, so I had a little technical difficulty and I didn't want y'all to see my face. My bad, but I'm here now. What's happening? Listen, this is it. The last Thursday before the election. And all the marbles are on the table. If you've already early voted, thank you. Hopefully you voted blue. And if you have not voted, I do hope that you have a plan to vote, because this election is the most important election of your life. I know y'all have heard that before, and you've heard everybody from the time you was 18 years old tell you this. But here's the deal. There's one person on the ballot who says that Puerto Ricans are garbage, that Nancy Pelosi is garbage, and that the people who support the vice president, garbage, and he wants retribution, and he wants to, per Elon Musk, make y'all suffer economically. And then you have one person who wants is trying to create an opportunity economy so that everybody has an opportunity to live their best lives. You also have, at the governor's race in Indiana, you have one guy who got his business from his father and wasn't strong enough as a candidate to get his own pick for LG as his running mate. And so we have a white Christian nationalist running as LG who does not like LGBTQ plus folk and believe if you don't pray like he prays, well, something's wrong with you. And says if you don't assimilate to the American way of life, then you should be deported. Now, I'm not exactly sure which American life he talking about, because I bet for sure him and I don't live the same kind of life. So does that mean I get deported? I don't know. Then we also have someone who's running for AG who, traumatized an OBGYN who was trying to save the life of a rape survivor who was 10 years old. Versus someone who is a military vet and a mom and a wife and is down with the party. We have real choices this year. We have real choices, and we can decide to, follow the road of fascism because his generals, his staff said he was a fascist, and Mike Braun is his minion, and little Micah Beckwith wants to be a J.D. Vance in waiting, the chaos creator. Ask Hamilton County Libraries. Chaos creator. So we have an opportunity to do something different. We can go the road of racist, misogyny, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. Or we can say, you know what? It don't matter who you are, how you be in America, you're welcome. And we're going to fight like heck to make sure that you can live your best life. You got choices. Hopefully you choose wisely. Because I'm going to be real. If you give two dangs about Indiana's own Dana Black, and I'm making it real personal. I'm about to make it real personal. If you give two dangs about Indiana's own Dana Black, I need you to understand these people want to create legislation that harms folk like me. Well, what you mean, Dana? Well, we already know that they don't want women to have body autonomy. That's a wrap. I am a woman. I know that I'm gender nonconforming, and I know that they're coming after my trans community like nobody's business. And because I am gender nonconforming, even though I am not trans, I get stopped all the time when I go to the bathroom. You would be surprised. My partner, Nicole, one day about cussed somebody out because, I don't know what bathroom to pee in. 54. I know. But unfortunately, some of those anti-trans ideas get spewed on me because I'm gender nonconforming, meaning I don't look like what you think a woman is supposed to look like. Of course, I don't think anybody gets to determine how I'm supposed to present to the world. That's just on me. And I'm also black. I'm so black, my last name Black. You see, they coming after, they want to say, well, Haitian immigrants. But unless you hear me speak, do you know I'm not a Haitian immigrant? I'm just saying, y'all, Now is the time for us to elect people who are going to look out for everybody, not just his homies and his rich friends, not just people who pray a certain way. We need everybody. And we got to flip some seats in our state house. We got to hold on to the United States Senate, and we've got to flip the United States House. So every race matters. Because even if we get rid of the Orange Menace, he got a lot of minions out there. And it's not just, they want to say MAGA, but MAGA is a whole thing now. It's not just the Orange Menace. It's a whole thing. It's a whole bunch of people who fly Nazi flags. So it's not like we making it up. They be on their little boats with their little Nazi flags. They don't want to follow the rule of law. They just want everybody else to do it. Did you see the video where the man had on his MAGA hat? And the ladies in the voting place was like, yo, you can't have this on in here. And he didn't want to follow the rules. It's out there. Find it. YouTube, TikTok, Google it. And he called a sister a B word. Don't mess with black women. We don't care. We'll come for you. Just don't test us. Right now is not the time to test us because we are all on edge. And stop telling me that if things don't go the way that y'all want them to, we need them to go, that it's anybody's fault but white people. Do not tell me anything other than that, because white folks have been voting majority Republican since 1968. Majority of white folks have voted Republican in 1968. So if this don't go the way we want it to go, don't talk about 15% of black people. Don't talk about 11% of Latino people. Don't do that. That ain't enough. That means 85% of black folks supported Kamala Harris. That means 90% of Latinos voted for Kamala Harris. So I need white folks to stand up for democracy, for everybody. I'm just saying. All right, I got a couple things I want to mention real quick, because the election's almost over, and eventually we will be back to governing. So there's an article that I came across that I want to share with you. I found it rather interesting. The Indiana Capitol Chronicle reports Hoosier coal advocates pushing for a ban on early coal-fired plant retirements have found allies among Republican Senate leaders. But a key House lawmaker on Thursday publicly signaled opposition to such a measure and said he put forth his own proposal. They want a moratorium that says we can't close coal plants indefinitely. I think we need to make that a business decision, says Representative Ed Soliday of Valparaiso. Excuse me. Forcing it just doesn't work mathematically. Soliday, the co-chair of the bicameral interim energy committee that met Thursday and leads the House Energy Committee during the legislative session. That means he controls which proposals get heard and voted on in his committee and which meet an early demise. He killed an attempt last session to explicitly give the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission the authority to stop utilities from closing their coal-fired plants and set conditions for utilities to meet in order to commence retirements. It never got a hearing. Soliday told the interim committee that coal-fired plants are often too expensive to run, adding they're just sitting there. Soliday, who spent more than 35 years working for United Airlines, defined useful life as ending when operations and maintenance cost more than can be earned in revenue. I can tell you when the airplane no longer makes money, that it's out of service an excessive amount of time, it's costing more to maintain and operate, we're going to buy a new one. He's planning to propose legislation codifying a definition into law. It is unclear how that would fare in the Senate. Guys, this is important because we're working on clean energy, and Indiana ranks 50th in the environment. This is a Republican saying, wait a minute, hold on. We are not going to just say we're going to run these plants, because I guess they have a 50-year lifespan and some of them are closing down at 42 years. He's saying, wait a minute, if the owner of the coal plant is saying it's no longer profitable for them to run the dang on plant, shut it down. Shut it down. But these people who want coal-fired plants are like, no, we need to still make money off of it, even though you killing our environment. Do you know they said if you have asthma, you shouldn't live in Indiana? That's how bad our air quality is. So this could be a win if he I don't know if he's being challenged in the race or not. Not sure. I hope he is, and I hope the Democrat wins. But if he's not and he still wins, hopefully that's somebody on our side that will say, hey, wait a minute, hold on. We need to shut these coal-fired plants down and maybe find new sources of energy. It's not a bad thing. So every now and then a broke clock is correct twice. So we'll see what happens with that. I love it when Republicans fight each other, though. It's so much more fun. So much more fun. The Indiana Public Media reports the Indiana Department of Natural Resources strategic plan for its forestry division is now available for the public comment. The plan includes goals such as retaining forests at their current levels, improving forest resource awareness to assist in conservation, and to accelerate the restoration of Indiana private forests. In a statement, the DNR Director Dan Bortner said this plan focuses on supporting the growth of healthy, diverse forestry for today's Hoosiers and future generations to enjoy. The full plan is available online, and I will drop the link so that you guys can see the dates and times so that you can go and make public comment. Okay. So again, they always passing legislation to get rid of our wetlands. They're always passing legislation again to make it difficult for people to have public comment. So go there so that you can figure out what to say. You want to listen. Again, our environment is the worst in the nation. It's the worst in the nation. They're always doing something in Indiana to get rid of wetlands, which causes those once in 100-year floods every 15 years, every 5 years. And then these small towns have a hard time recuperating because they just got flooded out. And then the person that represents them in the state house is a Republican, but they can't seem to get no money from them. So look, guys, go make your public comment. The link is in the chat so that you can say your piece on keeping Indiana as green as freaking possible. You would think with all the city names with green in it, Greenfield, Greenwood, Green Castle, all the places that we would want to preserve and protect our environment for the next generation. Okay. So yes, it was environmentally heavy this time around. But again, the election is coming to an end. And now it's going to be the next time we talk, it'll be about governing. And these will be the issues that we need to talk about. All right. That's my rant. Now it's time for Bohm's Unique Boutique. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. Democrats, are you looking for an affordable digital content creation solution? Then look no further than Black Pearl IT Solutions and Black Pearl Studios. Indiana's own Dana Black is providing many of the communication wraparound services any Democratic organization needs. No matter the size of the budget, Indiana's own and Black Pearl Studios have you covered. Just scan the QR code or visit www.blackpearl-its.com. All right, guys. This is the best part of the show. It's when we get to talk to the candidates, and this is the last week. And by the way, I guess I should say happy Halloween. I'm not a Halloween person, so I just don't be wanting all them dark demons in my life, but y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead with your happy Halloween. You go ahead. So on the last night before the election, we got two great guests. My returning guest, and I know y'all be thinking he the other John Bartlett. I did not make a mistake. Running in House District 33, my good friend, John Bartlett. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dana. It's nice to be back and talking to you again, talking to people out there.
I love it. And a newcomer to the scene. But she been putting in work. Y'all give it up, running in House District 4. Erika Robinson Watkins. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay. Hey, welcome to the show, first timer.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. And I'm glad I got the John Bartletts together. Thank you for getting
I
that
love
right.
that.
The rest
Hey,
of us got it wrong.
see, okay, first, before I talk about my rant, are y'all Halloween people?
Uh, I love it for children.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, you Halloween
I,
person?
I not terribly anymore. We were when the kids were small. About the best thing I do now is I sit down with the old Universal monsters and I try to make it through the, I don't know, 10 or so Universal monster movie from the 30s. And that's about all I do.
That's all I do too, man. I have this, people invite me to their little costume parties. I'd be like, I'll come, but I'm not wearing a costume. They be mad, but I'm not
I
wearing.
do have Jedi robes. I do have Jedi robes if I have to wear a costume. So
If I have to wear a costume, I don't go.
I was prepared to wear a costume tonight, but I wanted to make sure that the people took me seriously. So I opted out of my anxiety costume from Inside Out.
I
So,
love it. I love it. Was there anything in my fumbled can't talk tonight rant that you guys wanted to comment on?
ooh, you said a lot of great stuff. I'll let you go, John.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about the wetlands thing because the environmental stuff. There was a big bill that came through last year. Actually, this year in the 2024 session. So most of the time when a bill goes through our legislature, it goes through one house up until halftime, and then it goes to the other house, and then it through the end of the session, and then it goes to the governor to get passed.
Right.
Well, this one, like 2 years ago, they wrote another bill which reclassified certain wetlands and the protected wetlands. There's like three classes: the most protected, the middle protected, and the least protected. Well, it redefined those 2 years ago so that it made it so that there were fewer most protected lands, and they didn't even give it really any time to work. And so they went back and they redefined it again to make even fewer of the most protected wetlands.
Yeah.
And they pushed that through, and it was on the governor's desk by halftime.
Yeah.
So they pushed it through both houses and made it to the governor's desk, and it greatly reduces our wetlands. Now, Indiana is blessed with wonderful groundwater. Probably one of the best places in the world for fresh groundwater. And what that's going to do is that the wetlands are what supply the underground aquifers with the water,
Mm-hmm.
and they're cutting that.
Yeah.
They're reducing the amount of wetlands that we have, and so we're going to have water problems as we reduce the amount of wetlands we have.
Yeah.
But that was so important to get that through. In half the time it took a bill it usually takes a bill to get through.
Yeah.
They wrote the bill in the summer of 23, and they didn't invite anybody to the table to write the bill from any environmental groups or any sort
Alec.
of. Oh yeah, we know they did. Yep. So that's the legislature that Erika and I are running to stop.
I love it. I love that. Erika, was there anything in my rant?
Well, you know what? You had a lot of great things in your rant. I am impressed just with your intro, and I need to be better watching your show, because I'm thinking, Dana, you can just run this show from beginning to end, but I appreciate your rant. So when John just mentioned what great waterland or areas that we have here in Indiana, only people who care about natural resources are really concerned about that, right? And so one thing I always say, well, I should say, I got to give credit to Maya Angelou because that's who said it. When people show you who they are, you believe them, right?
Yes.
And so it doesn't matter how many times these bills keep popping up. It's just the rewrite, right? And it's always to pass what is in favor. And that's why we are here tonight, to hopes of breaking that supermajority so that the people who need to be in those rooms and having those conversations can be there.
I love that you ended the rant session like that because, and if anybody knows me, and I've said it a gazillion times, I live in the house. My background, my green screen background is the State House because I believe that's where the power is. And if we can flip just 4 seats, I've been having more House reps on and more state senators on, but if we can get flip those supermajorities, we can actually possibly get some positive things done. So let's get into it. And before we go into policy and what you running on, Erika, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Oh, well, good evening, everybody. I am Erika Watkins. And I always enunciate that a bit because my husband is very clear in making sure that we're not Walkins, we are Watkins.
Okay.
So I'm Robinson Watkins, but I am born and raised in East Chicago, Indiana. But I've been in Valparaiso. It'll be 13 years tomorrow,
Oh, so
actually.
you're running against Ed Saladay.
I am running against Ed Soliday, District 4. Yeah, I've been wearing my Hokas every day, and I keep saying these Hokas are made for walking. And
Okay.
that's just what they'll do. And one of these days, these Hokas are gonna
Well,
walk all over you.
well, sorry, Ed. I gave
Yeah,
you a compliment. You got to go, boo. You got to
yeah,
go.
it's my turn. It's my turn, and so I've taken this huge step. Being moving from Lake County to Porter County, it was huge for my family. We mainly came to Valparaiso for its public schools, and they proved to be everything that we thought it would be. Even now, serving on the school board, this is year 4.
Oh,
The vice president on the school board, and so I want to be able to serve in a larger capacity, being able to reach more people and address larger situations, not just for District 4, but all of Indiana. Because when you're a Hoosier through and through. So
man.
regardless of the county that I lived in or live in, I am a Hoosier through and through.
So let me ask you this. What made you get involved in politics? Was there something in your youth? Did you go to band camp one year and was like, oh no, I don't like the way they stack these instruments?
You know what? So my mom was a precinct committee woman
Ooh,
for years in East Chicago. So I was able to watch her really meet and make just a noise advances in the city. And so I always thought that was just really something great to watch. But I'm also a part of an organization that reminds us that we are social action. And so when you say, you can't just talk the talk, you have to actually walk the walk. And so I was able to serve as an organizational leader under Obama's campaign. I was young, really thought I knew what I was doing. The only thing I got out of that was a bunch of business cards and a lot of young people just to come and walk with me. But it just kind of spearheaded that move for me. And I'm just really glad that I'm here. My position on the school board is appointed. So this is my first time really hitting the ground, walking and running and doing all of the above. And so I'm looking forward to Tuesday. It cannot get here quick enough. I just want the decision to be made so I can do the real work.
I love that. And so again, sorry, Ed. That was the nicest thing I was ever going to say about you, but you got to go. You got to go.
You got to go.
John, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, all right. I live in one of the more probably rural districts of I don't know, just about anybody you've got on. I have my district covers
come closer to the
5
camera.
counties.
Come closer to the camera.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Okay. I'm running in a district. I've got all are part of 5 counties. I'm in running the district I have. It crosses 3 congressional districts. The largest municipality in my district is Portland, which has 5,800 people, followed by Hartford City, which has 5,400 people. So, and it still has the 44,000 voters in it. So it's very large territory to cover. And I've got it's a lot of farmers, a lot of rural, small town, decaying small town people. Why I'm here. I grew up here. I live on my grandparents' farm that they purchased almost 75 years ago. And it's funny because this district that has been created for me, I guess, gerrymandered for me. The district I'm running in is where my ancestors 200 years ago almost moved here. Pioneered here. So my roots grow deep, and I'm related to probably more people than I know. These are the people I grew up with. These are the people that are my friends and family and neighbors, and I see the pain that they're going through. And yes, I was involved in politics a long time ago. In fact, Mark Carmichael, who was one of the Senate candidates in the primary. Yep. As I'm sorting through things, I found an old bumper sticker from him from back in the 1980s when he defeated J. Roberts Daley,
Yeah.
who was Speaker of the House way back then, and the lone person who kept us from having a state lottery for years and years. And I found Mark's bumper sticker in all of my stuff from back when I was in high school.
I love that. So being in rural Indiana, I mean, listen, you have the foot on the ground, your feet on the ground, your ears to the ground, because you were also at one point the Blackford County, party chair.
Right.
Tell us about rural Indiana right now. Are they as MAGA as they were 4 years ago, or 8 years ago? Or are you seeing something different that those of us in the cities just ain't gonna see?
I'm going to say that they are still very MAGA, but I'm also going to say that they are loosening up a little bit, that there's more enthusiasm now on the other side, on the Democrat side, than there has been.
Okay.
When I stepped back from party chair back in January, the new party chair and like 3 of the 4 main counties that I'm in. I only have one township in Henry County, which is like the Newcastle area, but it's up. I only have one township in that county, but 3 of the other 4 counties have new county chairs as of this year. And even though they only have one candidate on the ballot for the county offices in each of those counties, they're hitting it. They're getting out and they're going door to door anyway.
I love it.
They go door to door for me and their other candidate in the county, and handing out literature. And so that's part of what I'm going to say is that I'm not really running on the national politics agenda.
Nor should you.
No, exactly, because I can't affect that nearly like I can what we're running on at the state with the state issues.
One of the things I always tell candidates is this is a job interview, right?
Yes,
you should be interviewing for the job that you want, not some other job. So if you're running for a House rep in Indiana, you should not be interviewing like you are running for Attorney General or for the governor. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're not running for a federal office. You're running for a statewide office. And I'm glad that you pointed that out. A lot of people don't understand that. But guys, here we are, right? We are at a precipice in this great experiment of citizen-led government. And although you both are running at the state house level, I think it's even more important that we talk about it. It's no longer just Republicans and Democrats running against each other. This is democracy and not democracy, right? Yeah. Talk about that as you are as you have been crafting your message to talk to your constituents, because it's still important, because Michael Beckwith is dangerous. And if he has a supermajority, he will have all the influence he wants. And we see Mike Braun don't have nearly the influence he thought he had. Why is it important that we talk about, or do you think it's important that we talk about the importance of democracy?
I think it's very important. So just to go back on the what John was just sharing, of what's happening at the door. What I find at the door often is that people will try to overlook that I'm running as a state representative and tie in what my walk, this race, with what's happening nationally. I can't vote for you because who would vote for Kamala? And I'm always trying to bring them back into the conversation. Like, you want to be concerned about what's happening locally. And so I've been brave enough to knock on doors with the different signs and the yards and the flags flying, so that I can have the conversations at the door, so that I can say, listen, let's talk about what's happening in Indiana. And I always say, listen, I'm going to serve as your state representative. If not now, in 2 years, I'll be back again. So I love being in this conversation with John, who has done this before, and brave enough, courageous enough to come back and say, I'm going to try it again. And so that's exactly where I am, and saying, listen, we need to deal with the things that's happening right here in the state of Indiana that's affecting people. When you bring those people back to the reality of we are here, and not addressing fully what's happening. I said, do what you want to do nationally, but I'm still an option for you to choose right here locally. And so that has really spearheaded some conversations at the door, bringing up the supermajority in both the House, the Senate, having a trifecta with a Republican governor. And I said, listen, some of the things that you're complaining about, we didn't do that. Democrats didn't do that. And I said, listen, I call it the card flip. I wish I had my a piece of my literature, and it's because I don't have my party on the card. And so they do that. And I said, I just go ahead and say, listen, I'm a Democrat. Let's just go ahead and get it off the table right now. Either one, you're going to run me away. Two, you're going to listen to what I'm saying. And I just tell them, hey, if Ed Soliday has been in office as long as he has, it's only a 2-year term. Let me in the door, give me an opportunity to show you something different, bringing positive change to District 4. And then if I don't do well, then you have the choice to get rid of me. But I said, I believe I'm gonna work hard because I value people. I value what's happening to us. I'm not focused mainly on business and infrastructure. I always tell people this is what Indiana does well, but we don't do well thinking about the people who live here. Other people are cushioning their pockets and we're paying for that. So how do you choose somebody who's going to fight for you? I'm the neighbor. I'm your next door neighbor.
Right.
Things that are concerning you are concerning me. I have to pay my gas and electric bill too, right? I'm concerned about my health care and how things are going to happen in my family. I know firsthand, people who have had to address, this reproductive issue. Do I go home with a deceased fetus or what do I do? Because nobody is telling me what to do next. So I'm telling you firsthand things that I deal with, not just somebody else's story. It's really my story. And so sometimes most of the time that really does sell at the door, even regardless of what party they may be from. They are willing to listen. A lady told me the other day, I wish you had made it to my door 2 days ago, because even what you see in my sign, and I'm still walking, I've been walking today. She said, even though you were brave enough to come and talk to me, I said, because I don't want to argue about issues. Right. I said, I've been married 24 years. So I think that's a skill. That's a superpower, because as a wife, there are times that you still have to talk about uncomfortable things, and you still have to compromise. And even though you may not feel like, don't talk to me today, let's talk tomorrow because I'm not in a good place, we still have to come and address those issues. And that's what we have to be able to do in the State House. We have to address the issues, and we have to truly be concerned about who.
Yeah. John, I mean, again, democracy's on the line, and not just at a national level. Again, Micah Beckwith is as dangerous as standing outside and smoking 14 cigarettes at one time.
Yeah, well, make it worse. My opponent is J.D. Prescott.
Oh, Jesus.
Neat you said that. Because he and Micah Beckwith are buddies, a little too close of buddies, if you ask me. But I mean, like, they are cut from the same cloth. They both claim to be Christian nationalists. They want to enforce Christianity on all of us and their brand of Christianity. It's not what I want to believe out of Christianity or you want to believe out of Christianity. What they believe is what everybody should believe. And it's a scary thing. It really is.
It actually bothers me so much, because you cannot stand there flying your "Don't tread on me" flag and then tread on me. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't line up.
No. And so,
religious freedom is not freedom to your religion.
Right. Yeah. Or it's like when the founding fathers, as they call them, wrote the Declaration of Independence, but they was owning people. I'm just saying, we've seen this before. We've seen it before, and we just don't want to address it and deal with it in the right way. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. Listen, guys. Sometimes candidates are still out there knocking doors, and they got to have water for their volunteers or snacks. So will you please click the donate link? Click the donate link and donate to these candidates so that they can. They still have a few days left. They apply. So could you please click the donate link and help these candidates out? We're talking to John Bartlett, running in House District 33, and Erika Robinson Watkins, running in House District 4. All right, guys. Every candidate has 3 to 4 issues that made them want to get on the ballot. John, me and you've been doing this dance, so talk to us. What are the issues? You know, because they change from cycle to cycle depending on what comes out of the State House, right? Talk to us. What are your issues this go round? And then there may be some.
The big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big one this year is property taxes.
Okay.
If I've heard it once, I've heard it a billion times. Property taxes. Other things are the Medicaid shortfall and some of the stuff out of it, which I mean that's a big one. We've been talking about county roads and things like that. The road construction all going on everywhere.
Well, because they do the construction all at one time, right? Especially in Marion County. Can y'all believe they cut off a whole section of 465? Just like, anyway. So I want to go back to the property tax issue, because when the governors had the debate, that was a big issue for all three candidates that were in the debate. What are you hearing at the door about property taxes?
Well, first of all, property taxes is such a complex issue. We could cover like a week's worth, like 5 days of your hours to unlock what's in property taxes. Okay. The big thing is that everybody got hit hard over the last couple of years with property tax increases in what they were paying, like major, like 70% increases over the past couple of years in some instances. The driver of that is property value, property assessed value went up, and that's what we base our property taxes on. It's the percentages are kind of locked in at a percent cap, 1% cap on your homesteads, 2% on your rental properties and on your farm ground, and 3% on your business properties. Okay, that's locked in by an amendment to the Constitution that we passed like 15 years ago. But those assessed values went up. They skyrocketed because of the pandemic and because everybody was out to buy property and there wasn't enough of it. We've had gone through blight elimination and the number of homes decreased, and so that the supply was down, the demand was up, values increased greatly. So and it's just caught up to us. So the assessed value is the thing we need to look at, and the three plans out there, the three main plans are: the first one is the Braun plan, attacks only the homestead. Only homesteads. It doesn't do any of the other types of relief or anything for farm ground, for rental properties or anything like that. So what happens is that they're going to give all this credit to the homestead properties, but if you rent or you property or your home or you have farm ground, basically what was going to happen was that this huge amount of relief that goes to the homesteads was going to cause 30% cuts to most of your town governments, your county governments, and your schools. It's going to cost them 30% of their budgets. So what's going to have to happen is that they're going to have to go and increase property taxes, because the farm grounds and the rental properties aren't taxed. They aren't taxed up to their full amount, but they will be. And what happens is that they're looking at 70% increases in your property tax on farm ground.
Wow. That is scary. And then the libertarian is basically saying he wants to take it down to 1%. So that means there would be no local government.
Right. And J.D. Prescott wants to eliminate property taxes altogether with a 7% sales tax on services like your haircuts and your oil changes and things like that. He wants to throw a 7% sales tax on that. And the issue with that is that when you look at, I mean, there are a couple big issues. First of all, if you're renting property and you're paying the property taxes, even though you don't walk into the treasurer's office.
It's baked into
it's baked into the rent. But when you redo or when you take away that, so now they're going to be paying this sales tax. Are you really expecting your landlord to give you a rental cut or the cut off your monthly rent by that amount? No. So it hits the poorest people. It hits the people who are renting homes.
It actually hits them twice. It hits them twice, because they're going to be covering the landlord's property taxes, and then they're going to be paying on the goods and services that they purchase. Thank you for highlighting that, because even I hadn't thought of it like that. you know?
Yeah,
And then the
I was
other
over
thing
here
is that
smiling
you're
and
going to,
saying, thanks, John. That's good because that hasn't been a conversation that I've heard at the doors.
Yeah, yeah.
and then the other thing is it's going to take away the ability of your local governments to be able to levy a tax to cover their own expenses.
Yeah.
And because the way that the 7% would be distributed, it would be collected at the state. And then there's a formula based on population and miles of road, and I don't know what else.
Yeah, and that's always going to be a disadvantage to Marion County because we have more 4-lane roads but they only budget for 2-lane roads. The way the formula works.
Exactly.
So we would be at a disadvantage in Marion County and some of the other more urban areas.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Property taxes is a huge thing I'm hearing about.
Okay, so you
and
said
we can come to the other things if you let Erika talk.
No.
Okay, so then another one I'm hearing a lot about is the Medicaid thing. So like if you don't know, back in December of last year, there was a report that came out that we were $1 billion underfunded to the FSSA in Medicare or Medicaid funds. I'm sorry, not Medicare, Medicaid funds. Okay, so they were scrambling. They had to pull out of that $6 billion budget surplus that they've got. And why we have to keep it at $6 billion of surplus and we can't ever dip into it.
I thought it was 3.
It was 6 last year. It's down to 3 this year because they had to pull $1 billion out to pay for this and they had to pull other money out for other things. But it was up to $6 billion a couple years ago, at least in 22. And I think in 23, that's where we started at. But anyway, so we had this $1 billion. They weren't happy and so like if you go to my website, my YouTube page, I've got clip of my opponent and the state senator from our area talking about what they want to do is they want to go in and they want to eliminate what's called the living trust, which is a shelter that people put their properties and their family farms into. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that when they go into the nursing home, it preserves the properties and it doesn't take them away from so that it forestalls when they go on Medicaid. All right, so it extends the time so that basically they're going to take the properties out to lessen the hit to Medicaid. Okay, but come to find out a month ago, they came up with a $726 million lawsuit. Mm-hmm. Against the 5 major corporations, the corporate hospitals.
Well, there was a whistleblower. There was a whistleblower that brought that up.
Yes, it was.
And then they fired the whistleblower, which is supposed to be illegal. But anyway.
Yes, but the 5 major corporations had $726 million of fraudulent Medicaid claims. Yep. That's 3/4 of that. Yep. And our attorney general, his office says, oh, yeah, we knew about that. We talked with the feds and we decided that, it wasn't worth going after $750 million in fraud claims.
I bet those families with children with special needs who got kicked off of FSSA, they should have done something about it. That's why you got to vote Destiny Wells. Mm-hmm. This issue, John, and I know that you and Erika, we're going to get to it, but this issue is one of those issues where you said a moment ago, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Because if you allow big corporations to literally take food out of mouths of families that have children with special needs, you some horrible people.
Yeah, you don't care.
Well, and here in the countryside, I don't have a county hospital anymore. They closed our hospital. We're now 45 minutes away from an ER.
Wow.
You said 45 minutes away?
45 minutes from an ER because they closed our county hospital because we weren't turning enough profit to IU Health. Okay.
See, y'all keep, and this is in your community, and y'all keep sending them clowns back to the State House. Erika, I gotta get you in because I gotta make sure I give equal time here because this discussion.
No, it's so good. I'm thinking, I'm over here saying I'm going to John's YouTube page. I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes because that hasn't been a conversation at the door. Literally for me, what I've heard a lot of, people are concerned about reproductive rights, and people are really concerned about that. And what happens when I go to the door is right away, people think reproductive rights means abortion right away. And I'm going, it's so much more. It's so much more when we think about, we don't have OBGYNs really wanting to serve here in Indiana. I keep saying, who wants to live in Indiana but us? And we're still fighting for Indiana, but fighting to stay. I literally left, went to college and came back, and I haven't left. And so when you think about the quality of life, and we're like number two, like, yeah, we're at the bottom. And I'm thinking, who wants to live in Indiana? But yet I'm grateful that there are people like us still fighting for that. And then trying to make sure that you have the right professionals who are willing to stay here and fight for women. And when I hear people say, think about the woman and the child, okay, well, are you thinking about the woman and the child when it's just the woman left and the fetus is deceased, and who's going to make that decision? When I am dealing with these things firsthand, that's really difficult to hear, that we are a state that thinks that it's okay to just send a woman home and just figure it out, see your doctor in a few days. In a few days, my health and my life is at risk.
Or my ability to have children in the future.
That's it. And so how can you care? And so when we continue to have this conversation, it is really difficult as a candidate. I think about who I'm going to be after whatever decision is made on Tuesday. When you know what you know and you've learned what you learned, it is difficult to go back to whatever my norm or whoever's norm was. You can't, because you have to do something with this information. And so, and now
baby.
How do you, now I understand why you continue to work the way you work, even though from that experience of running for office, you can't go back and just ignore that these things are happening. But what's more upsetting to me is why was I just going on day to day like everything was okay? It's not okay. When we're talking about Medicaid, Medicare, when we're talking about property taxes, when we're talking about the health or regular things of people, we can't go back to whatever normal was. We really have to address those.
New normal. This is a new normal. Being a fighter is a new normal. I love when people ask, during the civil rights movement, what would you have been doing? And they don't know, but whatever you're doing now, that's what you would have been doing. That's real talk. It.
Yeah.
Okay, I keep interrupting you because I'm sorry, y'all. This is a good conversation. I didn't want to interject.
No, that is great. And then, I've just really been supporting and sitting around people who are concerned about just our natural resources. I'm literally speaking with professors at Valparaiso University, is because what I tell people, I'm going to be an honest representative. What I don't know, I want to surround. This is just the skill that my family taught. My grandmother would always say, surround yourself around those who are experts. Don't feel like you need to know everything. She used to say, Erika, don't be an educated fool. Okay. And I used to say, how can you be educated and a fool all at the same time? But she would just say, keep living. And so I've kept living, and I see a lot of educated fools, and that I don't want to be. And so I think it's valuable to sit around people who are experts about knowledge, and really making sound decisions for the people who live in the state. It is clear that we haven't made those decisions as Democrats. Those decisions have been running the state for 20 plus years. And so here we are. And to me, it seems like common sense. It's common sense to vote up and down the ballot, because the people who are here who really want to make a change. And so if you continue to vote the other way, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Exactly. Because the state house is the gatekeeper. So one of the things I've been saying to people is, even if we win the White House and we hold on to the Senate and get the House, whatever they pass, the state house can be like, we're not doing that. And people don't understand that. They don't understand, like, we can have this amazing win. And I'm gonna go back to 2008. If y'all remember, 2008, we all proud because Indiana went blue, blah, blah, blah. But then wasn't it, who was it? Was it Mitch Daniels they got in? And one of the first thing he did was like, I'm not negotiating with unions. Y'all remember that?
Disgrace.
So guys, there are a lot of issues, and I got to get your take on it because we haven't actually touched on it yet. And it's one of the biggest topic, and it encompasses over 50% of our budget. And this is a budget year. Public education. Yeah. John, go ahead. I see. Go, John. Go.
John is ready. John said, "I'm jumping first." Go.
Yeah, John. That's number 4. So, public education. So, Indiana is 47th in the percentage of our population who has 4-year college degrees. We are 40th in the nation in the percentage of our population who has high school degrees.
40th?
Okay. So what, huh? Yeah.
40th?
So what does that do for rural Indiana where we've had the major brain drain? Okay. We've just had this, everybody's had any sort of education's left. So what has that done? Well, the businesses who were here have pulled up and left because they don't have an educated workforce to come, to hire from, and we can't attract new businesses. That's one reason. The other reason was the healthcare thing, and the third reason is the transportation, which I hope to get to in a minute before we run out of time.
Oh my God,
but
yes.
So when we're talking about the undereducated workforce, okay, what do we need to do to fix it? Well, one thing is that our public schools have over 3,000 openings right now. Over 3,000 job vacancies in our public schools for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we need to be able to pay to attract teachers here. And we cannot keep doing that when we keep taking all the money from our public schools and putting them into this ridiculous voucher system.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and how you run on that in my area is because there's a lot of very religious people, and they like the thought of school choice and religious schools. Well, the problem is that we don't have school choice out here.
Nope.
So when I go through my counties, I went to the ICPE site and I went out and I totaled up.
Whoa. You threw out an acronym.
I'm sorry.
Who did he?
I'm sorry. The Indiana Coalition for Public Education.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if you go to their website, they have there's a page on there that I can't remember the doctor's name who put it together, but he calculated over the last 7 years how much each school system has lost to the vouchers.
Yeah.
All right. So I went through and I totaled up my counties and all the school systems in my counties. My counties come up to $10.5 million that we lost.
Whoa.
All right. Yeah. So then I go to just one county, Randolph County, lost $1.7 million. Now, one thing that comes back to me is, well, we still have private schools here, and how much do we get back in voucher money? Randolph County has zero private schools that takes voucher money. There's one private school that's an Amish school, and they're cash only. Mm-hmm. So they just wrote a $1.7 million check from what they need to run their public schools to send. And I'm sorry if you're watching from a metro area, but we just wrote $1.7 million from Randolph County to go to the private schools in Marion County and Carmel, in Hamilton County.
Yes.
Allen County. I mean, we just wrote you a check and took that away from what we can afford to hire our teachers. And believe me, we need it.
Man, but how come again, they keep sending these people back? Why do they keep sending these people back?
And that's why I was going to say, John, I really love hearing his perspective, the rural perspective and that urban perspective, because I don't think the state, we're only mindful of the areas that we're in, and we're only concerned, so much about those areas, which I understand, right? But when you hear the perspective from representatives who are throughout the state, and what are the things or the issues that they have to address, and they're like different from ours, but how they impact them in a different way. So when you think about Valparaiso, and just in the 7-8 years, that was $10 million. And so I didn't even total up, all of District 4 that I'll be representing, but just in the school association that I sit on the board, in 7-8 years, we've lost $10 million. Now, granted, Valparaiso is doing well academically, but the thing is, we wouldn't have to pass referendums if we already had the money that from the state. So then we tie it back to property taxes and all of those things. It's just this cycle that keeps perpetuating. And so like Dana said, why do we keep putting them back?
And that money I'm talking about, even though the site looks at 7 years, it can break it out by years. That was just last year.
Wow. And here we have a candidate. And I love that you served on the school board, Miss Erika. That's dope, because you have a different perspective when you win and you go into the state house. And then we also have a candidate running for governor who was the superintendent of public instruction. And although she was a Republican and she is crossed up, like she said, I changed parties, I didn't change values. She is 100% for the teachers. Like I get so
They love
frustrated.
her.
Like, first of all, I get so frustrated. Like, how you gonna like diss teachers because they unionize, and then say, well, the student results are all on the teachers, but you don't give the teachers the resources they need. That's like saying, I need you to build a car, but I ain't gonna give you no screws and nuts.
Yeah. So just imagine if they didn't unionize, where would they be now?
Exactly.
If they did not have the voice that they have now to fight for the things that they've been asking, where would they be now?
You know where they would be?
We're not supporting them.
They unfortunately, because the teaching profession, the teaching K through 12 is dominated by women. They would be at the lowest pay scale of any public servant, because in our society we still do not value women and what they bring to the workforce.
Yeah.
So where they would be if they weren't unionized.
When you hear students talk about, if you ask many people, tell me something about your favorite teacher when you were in school. 9 times out of 10, it's a woman's name. Granted, because we are heavily populated in that field, but the fact is we are producing the next generation. We are producing. You're a lawyer because you had great teachers. You're a doctor because you had great teachers who helped you get to the point. And so, how can we dismiss the value of our educators and public education? It really is a slap in the face. I tell people that's the reason my family moved to Valparaiso, and I'll say it over and over again. Is because I needed my brown babies to have a stronger opportunity to compete in this world. And Valparaiso gave them that. But I'm not just concerned about how well we do there. I'm thinking about every student. It would be insane for me, one, to be a mother and disregard that every child needs that opportunity. 2, to be a teacher and just overlook, oh, well, my kids did well. And I'm not worried about everybody else, but I care. And when you care, you don't just care about your small group, you care about the larger. And
that's really what it boils down to. And Jen, I know you will agree with me. This is a lot of selfishness that's going on in that state house. They don't care if everybody has an opportunity. They just care if their homies have an opportunity. Because even in the urban areas, right? Indianapolis, we got, our school board races are always, they're starting to turn into LA school board races, right? Because you control so much money. And there are organizations out there that are all about pro-choice. They call it pro-choice, but parents always had the choice. They just had to pay for it themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is like one of the biggest economic redistributions that we have in our society, is that people who are making over $200,000 are going to get assistance to send their kids to a private school, and they was never going to send their kid to a public school. They was never
85% of them were still going to send their children to private schools anyway. So make it make sense.
It don't make sense.
They can't make it make sense.
There are some schools that even if you go into it and say, I don't want to apply for a voucher, I'm just going to write the check, but I need to pay over time. It's like, no, you will pay. You have to take the voucher. They won't even let you put your kid in the private school unless you take the voucher.
And the other thing that I always, it's crazy. The other thing that I also always link back to, because everything is connected, right? We talked about the environment, we talked about healthcare and jobs and bringing jobs in. You end up with a society of people, especially from rural Indiana, who didn't get the same opportunities because those schools were underfunded and the teachers were overworked, who then look out and say, America was supposed to be for me. Why are the Haitians getting stuff? Why are the Colombians getting stuff? When the system that was designed and made for you is failing you, and you want to blame it on somebody else, and you don't have the ability because we haven't given you the tools that you need to actually disseminate the information. Now you mad, and now you flying a Nazi flag. Like all of this stuff, like we create these societal conflicts because we do not do what we are supposed to do and make sure that every public school can meet the need of every child.
That's good, Dana.
I get so frustrated.
That's good. It's like you preaching almost. You may not be preaching from the pulpit, but you preaching from your desk at home, right? And so that's what people need to hear. But how do we educate people to realize how everything is so connected? And so
that door knocking that you guys are doing,
that constant divisiveness, but it is now. How do I keep knocking after I win? Do I go into town hall meetings? Do I just keep the conversation going? Because there's still so much much to learn, and still so much out there, and really educating the people and hoping that the right people come to the town hall meetings. Like I want a kumbaya type of moment. Everybody come on in, because there's some things that we need to learn. And when you don't know, then that's that misinformation. And then you keep passing it. And it doesn't just, stay, it becomes a generational thing. And how do you change that?
Well, I got work for you after this election, and you get your 1 day of sleep, and then you do your swearing in, and you do your thing. I got work for you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Indiana's own got something for you to do. You say you want to keep going.
I want to keep going.
And John has not only done like the thankless county party chair work, because you catch hell and don't get a paycheck for it. And he's still in this fight in an area that is the most neglected. I don't think people even I know that as Black folks in urban areas, we see the injustices, and but one, because most of rural Indiana is so self-sufficient, they don't think that the government can help them. But what they don't realize is that the government can harm them because they're sending the wrong people in. John, talk about it, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, right off that. Okay, we'll lead into the last thing that I've been campaigning hard on. So our transportation system in rural Indiana is terrible. And I know I've driven on Indianapolis streets. Our factory's down near 30th Street on the east side and all that. I know how bad the roads are there, and they're the same here, and there's the same the county roads and stuff. I just drove Maggie, my wife, into town. She had surgery last week, and it's just like you have to go no more than 40 miles an hour on a road, or I'm causing her pain because of the condition of the roads. So how can the state help? Well, I mean, they keep electing these people. Go back 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, 2006, Governor Daniels sold off the toll road to that foreign corporation. Remember that?
I remember that.
Remember that?
The dumbest move.
So he sold that toll road off, and we used the toll money, the revenue from the toll money, to fix our roads. That's what we used it for. And we didn't replace any of that money until 2018. That's 12 years. After 12 years, we got a 35-cent per gallon gas tax thrown on us. Okay? So now we've finally gotten enough money built up so that now we're finally fixing the roads. But if you didn't take a detour in Indiana at some point this summer, you weren't driving.
And actually, and some of that money, but also some of that money came from the Biden-Harris administration with the Build Back Better infrastructure plan.
And people don't even factor that most of the time.
They don't.
I know.
They don't factor. They don't talk about it.
But anyway, so like we that's why the construction's happening, because we finally gotten enough money put together to start building roads. But then about a month ago, a report was returned to the state legislature that they had commissioned back when they were in session, asking what would it take to fix the county roads, okay? Because that 35-cent per gallon gas tax was only fixing the state highways. It wasn't going to fix the county roads. And the report came back and said, well, just to fix what you've got, you need $1 billion. And if you want to make the necessary improvements that you need to have your combines and your four-wheel drive tractors going down the road, and your farm equipment going down the road, and to fix the bridges so that they can accommodate this, and the culverts and all the rest of this, you need about $2.5 billion to make those improvements. So guess what the legislature has to come up with this next term? They have to figure out how to raise that money.
Yeah.
Now, how you raise that money, I don't know. Let's legalize cannabis?
That's what everybody's talking about. Now, that's what people are talking about. I missed that.
Yeah,
that's what people are talking about. That's what they're talking about. Yeah, they keep reminding me, they keep saying, Erika, if you go over to Michigan, you're gonna see a lot of Indiana tax. You go over to Illinois, you're gonna see a lot of Indiana tax. They said, listen, we're losing a lot of money, and that's going to other states. months. And
You
so
should drive up I-69, go toward Angola. Like once you get north of Fort Wayne, maybe about Auburn, and then it's like billboard after billboard after billboard. This dispensary, that dispensary, another dispensary.
they're popping up in Northwest Indiana too. They are here. And so, yeah, that definitely will be conversation. I
And
imagine.
look, they in America, Hoosiers, for some reason, believe that Republicans are the fiscally responsible, economically savvy side of the aisle. And John, you might be too smart for the legislature.
Well, you would think that fiscally responsible. They think fiscally responsible means having this robust budget surplus. I call fiscally responsible. I call fiscally responsible. I've got shingles that need to be replaced, so I'm going to fix the shingles before I get a leak and cause major damage to my house. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did on the roads. I mean, we got a great big surplus, but we're not going to fix the roads. But we're fiscally responsible because we got a surplus.
Man, listen, that's literally, y'all speaking my language. Let me let y'all. We can talk for another 2 hours.
This is really a great conversation.
Indiana's own Dana Black. I'm talking to John Bartlett, who's running for Indiana House 33 Forum, and Miss Erika Robinson Watkins, who's running for Indiana House District 4. Erika, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at erikaforindiana.com. That's my website. Or you can go to any social media platform and look up Erika for Indiana, and you can learn so much more about me. I love to say that I am an accessible and approachable candidate. And so I give out my phone number. And so I'm easily findable. So look me up.
That's what I tell people, I'm easy to find. And where can they meet you this weekend to help with your final volunteer push?
Meet me at Towers Park in Valparaiso. We just meet there, get our assignments, and we go out and we knock as many doors as we can. I know this is the final weekend, but there is still work to be done. There is no sleep until we get it finished.
I love it. John, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I'm come to my website, bartlettforindiana.org. That's FOR Indiana.org. I like Erika, I'm very accessible. You can call me, text me, email me. I respond, which is something I can't say for my opponent. He doesn't ever return everybody I talk to. Well, I emailed him and he doesn't respond back. It's like, well, send me an email. I'll respond to you.
I love it. And where can people meet you this weekend?
I'm not sure yet. I've got a lot of territory. It's still going to be. I think I'm supposed to be in Portland and in Winchester. Okay. And then I still have to hit Parker City and I still have to hit Hartford City. So, and I'm working all that in between now and Tuesday.
Well, I'm telling people to email you. You'll get back to them and tell them where to show up at. Guys, thank you so much.
And I am the other John Bartlett.
Yes, yes. We have a chocolate and vanilla John Bartlett, right? Yeah. John Bartlett is. Let me tell you, what people don't know is the John Bartlett in District 95 vetted me when I ran for office, and he sat me down across the table, and he wanted to get a feel. Like that was my first time understanding that somebody will vet you because they want to know if they want to rock with you. Am I going to, support you and put my name on the line? I didn't know who you are. And he was one of the first ones that did that with me. And we've been aces I respect that man something truly. So for those of y'all that were looking for the Black John Bartlett, this wasn't this one. But he's been on the show before. He's quite
hilarious. He's a friend. We talked. In fact, we've talked about what if I get in. How are we going to distinguish ourselves? Are we just going to cause mass chaos in the State House?
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. He's L, I'm E for our middle initials. We could do that. Or I still he's a little older than me. So he's going to be senior and I'm going to be junior.
I love it. So. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. So hang on, don't hang up just yet. Don't hang up. Guys, what an amazing... What is going on here? Dana Black, you are messing up all kind of stuff. What is going on? I'm not even, there we go. Y'all, what an amazing show tonight. This was like one of those conversations where you sit around with your homies and you're doing your thing and enjoying life. And that's what this show was all about. But more importantly, this is the final push. If you are still trying to figure out who to vote for, that's fine. If you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to retain the judges or not, just remember those judges upheld the abortion ban. Make your decisions based on that. But more importantly, do your homework. Don't just take Indiana's own Dana Black's word for it. Look, Google is your friend. I don't understand. Like, Google is your friend. Talk to Google these people and find out who they are. But more importantly, so many people died and sacrificed for all of us to have this right. Whether it was the suffrage movement, whether it was the civil rights marches of the 1950s and 60s, whether it was the Vietnam veterans who were saying, hey, wait a minute, why can't I vote at 18? I can go kill somebody and go to war and die, but I can't vote. All of these things happen. And that's what makes America great. Not that it's exceptional because we exist and we're exceptional because of all these names that you want to throw out. No, America is exceptional because where we are today, we don't have to be tomorrow, and we can be better tomorrow, but it takes all of us to make it better. That's what makes America great. Not George Clooney, not these random, not Elon Musk. He probably stinks. That's why his last name Musk. Not all these other random names of people. But what makes America great already, that's what America should be. America is great already, is because we have the ability through our voice and our vote to make America, specifically Indiana, a more perfect union and improve on all the issues that we are talking about and enhance the good things that we do. So do not take your vote for granted. Don't let anybody tell you that your vote doesn't matter. All of these things matter because we have the ability in our nation to make our nation better and more reflective of the population. I bet a Russian would love to have what we have. I bet a Saudi woman, as much as they're a rich nation, would love to be able to drive. I bet Afghan women who were pre-Taliban, post-Taliban would love what we have. But some of us take it for granted and we don't show up and do what we're supposed to do. I know there are people coming for us and things are not perfect, but every day that you wake up an American, you have every opportunity to make America more perfect. So guys, Indiana's own Dana Black. This is the last show of this 2024 news cycle, election cycle. I thank everybody who joined in. I will be at the Indiana Democratic Party's watch party, so I'll be live streaming from there. I'm actually working the polls, so I'll get there a little late, but I'm gonna get there. Also, I will be on Wish TV for post-election commentary in the evening at 10 o'clock and in the morning. And then we'll be back next Thursday. No guests. We'll break down the winners and losers. Well, I may have a guest. I may bring on Mary Noon. I may bring on Mark Gavart, my guys, to talk about the winners and losers from up and down the state. But get out and vote, guys. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. I'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.